The night was as thick as ink, and there was a fishy smell in the wind, as if something had rotted for a long time, but it was dug out and exposed to the air. I wrapped my torn cloak on my body and stepped heavily on the dead wasteland of the dark and vast land. The soil under my boots was as cold as a corpse that had just crawled out of the tomb. My name is Carl Angus, a wandering Han who no one remembers or cares about. If it weren't for the hard life, I would have died in some corner to feed the ugly. This place is called the Black Cracked Wasteland. It is said to be a pit that was smashed out when a god fell 100 years ago. The ground is full of deep and lush entrances. The surrounding villages have long been deserted, and no ghosts are willing to come. I came here not to find excitement, nor did I want to die after my brain was sucked. I didn't have to choose. I couldn't sell a few money from this broken copper wire, and my stomach was so hungry that I heard that there was a broken wasteland around this wasteland, and there might be some money-worthy things left. I don't believe those ghosts about unknown horror. What deep purity calls and curses are just stories compiled by veterans to scare people. If there is such an evil gate, why do some people come back to brag alive? I looked down at my feet, holding a broken map stolen from the winery in my hand, and a circle was scribbled with a charcoal pen, marking the fissure entrance. The owner of the map probably had already been upset, otherwise he would not have thrown this thing under the table. I walked around and slandered myself. Why did I believe this thing? I had nothing in there. Isn't this trip in vain? Just as I was thinking, a low sound suddenly came from the front, like a strange sound that came out when the wind blew through the cave, or like someone was talking low from afar, which made people feel hairy. I stopped and squinted my eyes and looked towards the dark front. As big as the head of the wasteland was, it seemed to be torn open by some giant claws. The rocks along the edges showed an unnatural twist, as if they were melted by high temperature and then cooled down. The crack was so dark that it could swallow it all, and the moonlight could not shine in. My heart skipped a beat, and I felt that the evil gate was too far away, but I felt like I was being pulled by something under my feet, so I couldn't turn around. Just take a look, take something and leave. I said to myself, sneering myself, then took out a torch that had been burning almost without oil from my waist, ignited and lifted it up, carefully approaching the crack. The fire swayed in the darkness, illuminating some strange marks around the crack, like some rune or a ghostly talisman that was painted casually. I haven't read the book and can't tell what it is, but I feel uncomfortable looking at it, as if these lines will move under the fire. I gritted my teeth and walked down. The air in the crack was colder, with a damp musty smell. The light of the torch could only illuminate a few steps away, and the shadow of the distance was full of black pressure. The road under my feet became narrower and narrower, and the stone walls on both sides were covered with moss, which was slid so much that I almost fell down several times. After leaving for about a minute, the front suddenly opened and the fire shone on a huge stone chamber. A shiny black stone tablet stood in the center, which was engraved with runes like ghost talismans. My heart was tightened and I felt that this place was not in opposition, but my eyes couldn't help looking at the stone tablet. Those runes seemed to be alive, twisting in the fire, as if they wanted to diamond into my brain. I suddenly slammed my head and forced myself to move my eyes. I found a small groove under the steel, with a black stone the size of a fist in it. The surface was as smooth as a mirror, and it seemed to be able to absorb light. Even the light of the torch was swallowed by it. I've lost money, I murmured, reaching out to get it, but when my fingers touched the stone, a biting chill rolled up to my fingertips, as if the whole person was thrown into an ice hole. I suddenly turned my hand back and heard a sound suddenly appear in my brain, as low as if it was coming from the underground, with some unrecognizable words. I was so scared that I sat on the ground, and the torch almost fell down. I turned around and looked around and found nothing. Who is here? I shouted loudly, and the sound was heard in the stone chamber, making my heart even more heartwarming. The sound did not stop, but became clearer and clearer, as if it was whispering in my ears. I bit my teeth and told myself not to panic. It might be an illusion or tired, but the anxiety in my heart was getting bigger and bigger. At this moment, the black stone suddenly lit up, as if something was inside opened his eyes and stared at me straight. I could no longer hold it back and wanted to run away, but I felt like I was trapped by something under my feet and couldn't move. The sound became more and more exciting, as if countless people were screaming in my brain, forcing me to cover my ears and squat down. Just when I thought I was going to get crazy, the stone suddenly floated up from the groove and flew towards me. I stared at it with my brain blank, and then it dripped into my left eye, as if it had melted into it. A burst of pain came from my eyes. I screamed and fell to the ground with my face covering my face, feeling that my entire brain was about to explode. The video is full of blood, and the low words on the ears become a clear sound, and in an ancient and cold language, "You are, the selected, the deep eye, will open the door of the taboo." I don't know what that means, and I don't have the energy to think about it. It hurts so much that I swelled on the ground, and my mind becomes more and more blurred. When I finally came, I found that I was still lying in the stone chamber, and the torches were already burning, and the surroundings were pitch black. But strangely, I can see something not ordinary, but like a gray filter on the visual line. The runes and stone walls are all unusually clear, and I can even see a black air flowing on the stone tablet. I touched my left eye and found that it was not blind, but I felt that it was not right, as if there was something more. My heart was in a group, and I wanted to run when I got up, but I realized that a deep stone chamber suddenly came and a low growl came, as if something was awakened. When I turned around, I saw a shadow crawling out from behind the stone tablet. Its shape was twisted like a human but not like a human. It was covered with black mucus, and there were only 2 empty holes in my eyes, as if I could see through my soul. "Mom, what a ghost thing!" I sniffed, turned around and ran away. My feet were shaking, and there was still the low voice in my brain, telling me that this thing was not something I could deal with. I rushed out of the crack and ran back to the wasteland. The low growl in my head became more and more distant, but the fear in my heart did not dissipate. I know that I took something I shouldn't take, and it caused trouble. A squid pail came from the sky, and I sat on a stone with a heavy breath, trying to figure out what had just happened. The stone, or the eye of the purity, is now right in my left eye. I can feel its existence, like I've been whispering, convincing me to go back, telling me there are more secrets waiting for me to dig. I tried to close my left eye, but the eyeliner could still penetrate my eyelids and see things hidden around me, such as a galvanized dagger buried far away, and a group of dark air even further away. My heart was filled with pain, thinking that this thing was not a good thing, but I couldn't help but wonder, what if it could help me find more valuable things or make me stronger? I slammed my head and tried to get rid of these thoughts, but the low words seemed to have a root and could not leave no matter how hard it was. Just as I was in amazement, a horse hoof sound suddenly came from afar, accompanied by a few rough shouts. I looked up and saw a few guys wearing long black robes walking towards me, holding a knife in my hand and a strange red pattern on my face, like the mark of a certain cult. My heart sank, knowing that this helping others is not a good person. I guess it is coming from a traitor, or, to me. "Hey, guys over there, stop," the leader shouted, with an unquestionable pressure in his voice. I ignored him and turned around and ran away, but the camera on my left eye suddenly flashed, as if reminding me something. I glanced subconsciously and found that there was a group of darkness following the help of people, which was a bit similar to the shadow I saw in the river. "You should die, why can't you get rid of it?" I gritted my teeth and accelerated my feet, but I knew in my heart that it was so irritating this time. I don't know what the purple eye is, nor why it chose me, but I have a sense that this thing will change everything about me, whether it is good or bad. After running for a while, I finally found a bush, diamonded it and hit it, holding my breath and listening to the sound of my horse's hooves and moving away. But I know that this is just a temporary thing. Those people won't let me go easily, and those things in the world, and those low words, won't let me go. I touched my left eye and felt like I had fallen into a bottomless and deep penis and couldn't even climb out. Outside the bushes, the sound of the sound rose again, carrying a faint whisper, as if calling me back. I clenched my fists, my heart tugged, and I was looking forward to what would happen next. I know that this is just the beginning, the real horror, and it's still waiting for me behind me. The wind in the bushes made my face hurt. I shrank my body, and I tried not to make any sounds, and my heart beat like a drum. The horse hoof sound was finally far away, and the black-robed guys didn't seem to find me hiding here, but I knew they wouldn't give up. The deep eye in the left eye is still whispering, like a shadow that cannot be shaken off, and is always muttering some ghosts in my brain that I don't understand, which makes me confused. The sky was already brighter, and the dusty clouds were so heavy that people couldn't breathe. I poked my head out of the bush, looked around, and only crawled out after confirming that no one was there, patting the soil and grass chips on my body. This torn cloak on my body was already extremely dirty and my boots were almost worn out, but I had no time to care about them. I have to leave this wasteland tightly, find a place to hide, and figure out the mess. Go back, God, more secrets. The humor started to resound, as if he was directly diamonding into my brain, with a scent of intimidation. I bit my teeth and forced myself not to listen, but the line of my left eye was unconsciously glanced towards the direction of the black cracked wasteland. The crack was like a big open mouth, waiting for me to jump in. I slammed my head, slandered myself, and turned around in the opposite direction. After walking for a while, the road under my feet began to become muddy, and the air was filled with a more fishy smell, as if something was rotting nearby. I snaked my eyebrows and covered my nose. My left eye suddenly flashed, and a black air appeared on the video, just outside the front, moving slowly, as if guiding me where to go. My heart was tightened, and I stopped walking, wondering whether to follow me. Reason told me that this thing was definitely not a good thing, but another voice, probably the dead whisper, was urging me to say that this darkness would lead me to a way out. Go to him, I can't care so much. I lowered my voice and followed him with a hard head. The dark air was slowly floating, as if she was waiting for me on purpose, and took me through a low swamp into the hidden entrance to the valley. The entrance of the valley was covered with vines and stones. If it weren't for the dark road, I wouldn't have discovered this place. I opened the vines and diamonded in, and found that there was no such thing as the sky. The valley is not big, but the ground is flat, with a stream in the center, and some old tents and burnt bonfires are scattered around the stream, as if someone has passed by here, but he has already left. I walked closer and found several shabby tombstones made of stones beside the tent, with runes that I couldn't understand, which were somewhat similar to the ghost talismans I saw in the tent. It's this thing again. I murmured, squatting down to look in detail, and suddenly a stinging pain in my left eye, and a blurry picture appeared in my visual line. Several people in ragged robes were kneeling in front of the tombstone, muttering words in their mouths, like some kind of ritual, and then one of them suddenly fell down, black air appeared on their bodies, and the rest fled in panic. The screen broke at this point, and I suddenly came back to my senses and found that I was sweating coldly. This place is not simple. I stood up, looked around, feeling uneasy in my heart. Those tombstones, runes, and the pictures I just saw were nothing to do with Xinjiang. I was thinking about whether to leave tightly, but a slight sound of footsteps suddenly came from the stream, as if someone was approaching. I squatted down, hid behind a large stone, and held my breath and glanced at me. I saw a figure walking out from the depths of the valley. It was a woman wearing a ragged leather armor, with a few small knives hanging around her waist, and a black cloth covering her face, revealing only a pair of sharp eyes. She held a pry in her hand, like a tool dedicated to prying something, and was careful when walking, as if she was ready to face danger at any time. Who is there? She suddenly stopped and asked in a low voice, with a sense of vigilance in her voice. I was shocked. I didn't expect her to be so alert, but I couldn't hide it anymore. I had to slowly stand up and put up my hands to indicate that I was not malicious. Don't be nervous, I've just been by the way and I didn't want to cause trouble. I tried my best to make my language sound harmless, and my eyes couldn't help but look at her. Her skills look good, she should not be an ordinary person, and the knives and iron prying around her waist look like they are specially used to explore the tomb or crack the machine. She looked me up and down, her eyes full of suspicion, and then said coldly, "By the way? This place is not a fun place. Who are you? Why are you here?" I slapped my head, and my brain flew quickly, thinking about how to deal with it. I can't tell her that I was chased and killed by a cultist, and I also took a cursed stone. Now my brain is full of ghosts, right? So I wrote a reason. My name is Carl, and I am a wandering house. I heard that there is something worthwhile nearby and wanted to touch the air. I didn't expect to get lost and accidentally came in here. She heard me, her eyes still not relaxed, but seemed to be a little calmer. She was silent for a few seconds, then said, I am Aaron, I'm looking for some old things. If you're really malicious, don't worry. I have something to do and I don't have time to talk to you. I ordered the head and put on a so-called style, but I was just counting it in my mind. This woman is not a simple character at first glance. Maybe she knows something about deep purity, or can help me get rid of those black robe guys. I cleared my throat and tried to ask, is the old thing you are looking for related to those troubles? If so, I might be able to help you. Erin glanced at me, as if she had heard the trial in my voice, and her eyebrows were snaking. Do you know what's wrong? Tell me clearly, don't fight me with tiger eyes. I hesitated for a moment, and felt that it was useless to hide it, so I said half-truly, I misunderstood yesterday, with a stone chamber and a stone tablet full of runes. I took something, but it caused trouble and was now being chased and killed. If you know anything, you might be able to show me the way. After listening, her eyes became even more complicated, as if she was stinging whether to believe me. After a long time, she said in a low voice, what did you take? To be honest, otherwise I'll leave now. I gritted my teeth and knew that I could not hide it anymore at this time, so I pointed to my left eye. It's a black gem that melted into my eyes. It can make me see something abnormal and always say something in my brain. I don't know what this is, but it must be unrelated to the slaughter. Erin heard this and her face became a little difficult to see. She walked closer, stared at my left eye carefully, and then said in a low voice, the deep eye. I didn't expect this to really exist. You got mad, Carl, this thing is not something you can control. I was shocked, and I didn't expect that she would know the name of this thing. I hurriedly asked, do you know what this is? Tell me, how can I get rid of it? She slammed her head and smiled bitterly, take it off? Impossible. If it chooses you, you can't get rid of it. The eye of deep purple is a taboo thing in the eye. It can explore the secrets of deep purple, but it will also make you swallowed by deep purple. I have heard its story, but I have never seen the real thing, until now. I felt tired in my heart and felt like I had fallen into a big pit and couldn't even climb out. I gritted my teeth and asked, then what should I do now? I can't wait to be fucked by it, right? Erin was silent for a while, as if she had made a decision, and then said, I can help you, but not for nothing. I'm looking for someone who missed another deep slumber. If you can help me find him with the deep slumber eye, I will teach you how to control it and not be swallowed by it. I heard her conditions and thought about it in my heart. It was good to hear it with her. There was someone who could help me figure out what this ghost thing was, and she looked very familiar with her, and she might help me hide from those black robe guys. But I was still a little worried. After all, I just met. Who knows if she doesn't have any intention? Okay, make a deal. I ordered the head and put on a cheerful look, but I'm not easy to mess with if you dare to cheat me. Erin sneered, not obeying my threat, just saying, then don't waste it. We have to stay away from here, it's not safe. I know another remote location that might have a thread. Follow me and don't drag your back. After she said that, she turned around and walked deep into the valley. I hesitated for a second, but still followed. The low words on the left eye were resounding again, as if they were satisfied with this decision, and there was a hint of excitement. My heart was filled with hair, and I always felt that there was a secret between this woman and the mistress that I didn't know. We walked through the valley, the ground became steeper and the air became more and more humid, like a prelude to entering an underground cave. Erin walked in front, and walked very quickly, stopping from time to time to check the traces around her, as if she was afraid of being followed. I followed her, and my left eye kept browsing some blurry pictures, some were runes, some were black, and some were distorted shadows, which made me feel stumped. This is a shortcut to another extreme. Erin opened her mouth suddenly, her voice pressing low, but it's very dangerous, there may be something in it. You'd better prepare yourself. Things? What? I asked, with a slight anxiety in my voice. She didn't answer directly, but said coldly, "What you've seen should be clearer than I can describe. Don't ask, stay alert." My heart sank, knowing that what she said must be those twisted shadows, or worse. I held the broken knife tightly on my waist. Although this thing was probably useless, it could at least make me feel weak. After walking for about a moment, the road ahead suddenly opened and a huge underground hole appeared, with rotten marks on the edge, as if it had been burned by some acid. The entrance of the cave was so dark that it was hard to see, but the left eyes I could penetrate part of it. I saw some flashing room lights in the head, as if calling me in. "That's it." Aaron stopped and turned to look at me. "This paradise is older and more dangerous than the black cracked wasteland. My line shows that the person I'm looking for may be there. But I have to remind you that there is no way out after entering. Are you sure you want to follow?" I looked at the dark hole and my heart was pierced. Reason told me that the evil gate here has been too much, and if you go in, you may not be able to come out. But the humors echoed in my ears again, urging me to come in, saying that there was the answer I wanted and the power to strengthen me. I gritted my teeth and finally clicked, "Go in, don't be too slow." Aaron lit the head, said nothing more, took out a torch and ignited it, and walked in first. I followed her. My steps were as heavy as if I had been filled with a penis. There was a hint of expectation in my heart, as if I knew this trip would change everything. The air in the cave was biting cold and the fire illuminated the surrounding stone walls, which were engraved with familiar runes, twisted as if they were alive. In the left eye's visual line, these runes were scattered with faint black air, as if they would pass by at any time. I forced myself not to look at it, and followed Aaron forward intently, but the pressure in my heart became stronger and stronger, as if I was being targeted by something. Not long after I left, a low sound suddenly came from my front, like a stone rubbing, or something was breathing. Aaron stopped suddenly, raised the torch and shone forward, only to see a huge group of shadows walking out of the cave, twisted like a pile of monsters made of flesh, full of black mucus, without eyes, and could move towards us accurately. "Don't die, it's the deep and clean guard." Aaron lowered her curse, pulled out the knife at her waist, and took out a defensive posture. "Carl, don't be stunned, prepare to run." I was shocked, and I didn't expect to encounter this kind of ghost thing soon. I held the broken knife, knowing that this thing couldn't deal with the monster. The whisper of the left eye suddenly became rapid, as if telling me something. I subconsciously closed my right eye and looked directly at the monster with my left eye. A bunch of runes appeared on the video, like its weakness mark. "Irene, listen to me, attack the most dark place on the left." I shouted, with an indeterminate tremor in the voice. She was stunned for a moment, but without hesitation, Lima rushed towards the direction I said, and the knife in her hand pierced into a group of black air on the left side of the monster. The monster let out a harsh scream, his body twitched suddenly, and then began to disintegrate, turning into a beach of black water and flowing to the ground. We were all gasping for a long time, standing there without moving, as if we had not passed by the shock just now. Erin turned her head and looked at me, with a little more complicated look in her eyes. "How do you know its weakness?" I smiled bitterly and pointed to my left eye. "I told me this thing. I don't know why, but it seems to see through these ghost things." She pointed the head and didn't ask anymore, just said, "It seems that you are more useful than I thought. Let's go, there is more trouble waiting for us in the depths." I followed her and continued to move forward, my heart getting heavier and heavier. That monster was just the beginning, and there must be something even more terrifying in the depths. Moreover, the low words on the left eye are becoming more and more frequent, as if they are waiting for something excitedly. I don't know whether this is good or bad, but I have a feeling that this excitement will allow me to see something I never want to see. The cave was getting deeper and deeper, and the places where the fire could not shine were dark, as if they could swallow everything. Erin and I walked shoulder to shoulder, neither of us, but the tight feeling in the air became increasingly heavy. Afar, a series of low words were transmitted, exactly the same as the sound in my brain, as if we were welcoming my arrival. The air deep in the cave was getting colder and colder, as if it could penetrate into my bones. I couldn't help but tremble and tighten the broken cloak on my body. Erin walked in front, and the light of the torch swayed around her, causing the runes on the stone wall to flicker and twist as if they were alive. The deep and pure eyes in the left eye danced restlessly, the eyes were covered with black and blurry shadows, and the low words on the ears were getting more and more agitated, like a group of people quarreling in my brain, making my head hurt. "Carl, are you okay?" Erin suddenly stopped and looked back at me, with a slight squeak in her voice. Her face looked a little white under the fire, and her head was covered with detailed beads of sweat, which could be seen that she was too tight. "Okay, it's just that the sound of death always buzzes in my brain." She slammed her head and looked at my left eye with a complex look. "I can't hear it, but I know what that is. The deep and pure eye is communicating with you, what it wants to guide you to do. Don't listen to it and stay awake, otherwise something will happen to us." I clicked my head and said, "But I didn't know what I wanted." That lowly is not a simple sound. It seems to be carrying some power that lures me to think about something I shouldn't think about, such as deep secrets, such as the taboo power that can make people stronger. I shook my head and forced myself to follow Erin forward, but my steps became heavier and heavier, as if I was being dragged by something. The path to the cave began to become narrow, with denser runes engraved on the stone walls on both sides. In the left eye's visual line, these runes were radiant black air, as if they would turn into some monsters and come over at any time. The fishy smell in the air became even heavier, like rotten bodies piled up for hundreds of years, making me want to vomit. A low voice came from a distance, like something huge was breathing, or like something was getting ready to move deep underground. "There is no match in front." Erin lowered her voice, raised her torch and shone her face forward, making her face even harder to see. "This place is even more evil than I thought. Carl, it's easy to run. If the situation is not right, don't worry about me and just go back. Don't say this kind of suffocating." I smiled reluctantly and held the broken knife tightly on my waist. Although I knew that this thing couldn't deal with it, I could at least give myself some psychological comfort. "Aren't we saying we're going to find your missed brother? I don't plan to die halfway before I found someone." She glanced at me, with a flash of gratitude in her eyes, but soon she became cold again. "Then don't drag your back legs. Keep tight on me, don't touch anything here." We continued to walk forward, and the road under our feet began to slant downwards, as if leading to a deeper place underground. In the darkness where the fire cannot shine, you can hear some fine sounds, like claws scraping over stones, or something roaring in a low voice. My heart was full of hair, and the line of my left eye was swept around unconsciously, trying to see the source of those sounds clearly, but I only saw the darkness of a group of games, flying in the dark like a living. After walking for about a minute, the road ahead suddenly opened, and a huge underground stone hall appeared. A broken sacrificial fortress was erected in the center, with runes engraved on it, and a pile of white bones and broken cloth scattered around it, as if there had been some terrifying ritual. There is a huge stone door behind the fortress, with a twisted image of a monster carved on it, like a human and a beast. The eyes are embedded with two black gems, which are somewhat similar to the deep eye in my left eye. This is the core of the ultimate terror. A trembling voice was trembling. She stopped and stared at the stone door. "I heard that this place is the source of deep terror. All unknown horrors are born here. My brother, he may be behind the door." I looked at the stone door and my heart was also nervous. The whisper in the left eye suddenly became rushing, as if urging me to go over, saying that behind the door was everything I wanted. I bit my teeth and tried to press the urge, but my body stepped forward without hearing. "Carl, don't move." Erin grabbed my arm suddenly, his voice filled with warnings. "Didn't you notice? This place is affecting you. The deep eye wants to open you, but you can't listen to it." I know. I gasped, my head covered in cold sweat, and I was reluctantly pausing. "But it's too strong, Erin, I can't control it anymore. Do you have any way to help me hold this ghost thing?" She bit her lip, hesitated for a moment, then took out a small stone plaque with runes engraved from her waist and stuffed it into my hand. "This is the talisman I found from another lever, which can slightly suppress the invasion of the deep and purified force. Hold it tightly, and don't let your hands go, it should help you with a little. When I took the stone card, I felt that the whispers in my brain were a little weaker, but the temptation still did not disappear completely. I slighted my head and smiled hard. Thank you, Aaron. Let's take the initiative, find your brother, and leave this ghost place. She didn't say anything, just clicked the head, then carefully approached the fort and began to check the runes and connections around her. I stood behind her, holding the stone sign, trying to keep myself awake, but the line of my left eye was unconsciously swept towards the stone door. The monster statue on the door seemed to be alive, and the black stones in their eyes were shining with a glimmer of light, as if they could see through my soul. I felt a little tired in my heart, forcing myself to move my eyes, but the low words on my ears became clearer, as if I was shouting directly in my brain, "Open the door, become the master. Don't die, close your mouth." I lowered my voice and pinched the stone card, and my nails were almost pinching into the flesh. Erin heard my voice and glanced back, her eyebrows became tighter. "Stop, Carl, I found the opening mechanism, but it takes a little time. Don't let that thing control you." I gritted my teeth, but my heart became more and more troubled. At this moment, another head of the stone hall suddenly came to a sound of footsteps, which was rapid and heavy, as if a group of people were rushing towards this side. Aaron and I looked at each other and their faces changed. "It's from the Shinching cult." Aaron lowered her spell, quickly pulled out the knife, and took out her defense posture. "They are catching up with her, Carl, ready." When I turned around, I saw a group of men wearing long black robes storming at the entrance of the stone hall. The head was a tall man with red runes on his face, his eyes were as hot as a cuckold, and he was holding a beating sacrificial dagger in his hand. As soon as he saw me, Lima grinned, his voice as sand as whetstone. "Carl, the holder of the deep eye, finally found you. Hand over that forbidden thing, or become a sacrifice we dominate." "Grest blood sacrifice." Erin gritted her teeth and said the name in a low voice, her eyes filled with anger and jealousy. "This guy is the head of the church. A crazy guy, Carl, don't talk to them. We have to open the door tightly and hide in." My heart sank, knowing that this help is not easy to deal with. The whispers in the left eye were resounding again, as if mocking my current situation, and urging me to open the door tightly. I bit my teeth tightly, and my hands holding the stone card were shaking, but I still turned to Eileen. "Hurry up, I'll hold them." Aaron clicked the head, speeded up the action on his hands, and tried to crack the connections on the fort. And I turned around and faced Graceit and his men, holding a broken knife. Although I knew I was not a match at all, I had no way out. "Want to get my stuff? Come and try it." I shouted, tried to force myself to the picture, and then rushed towards a man in black robe who was closest to me, and slashed hard at his shoulder with a broken knife. The guy didn't expect me to take the initiative to attack. He was stunned for a moment, and I hit the shoulder and screamed. But the other black-robed men responded and slashed at me with a few swords. I reluctantly hid, but was kicked in the stomach and fell to the ground, so much pain that I couldn't breathe. "Carl!" Aaron shouted, trying to come over to help me, but Grest sneered and slapped in front of her, the dagger flashing with a cold light. "Little sword, your road is over here. The deep and pure eye is the kindness of our master. Hand it over, or die." I covered my stomach and got up. The line in my left eye suddenly flashed, and a group of dark air appeared behind Grest, as if it was his weakness. I gasped and shouted, "Irene, attack him, there's nothing wrong with that." Aaron was unhesitant, and Lima turned over and avoided Grest's attack, and laid behind him, and the knife in his hand stabbed him hard at the black air on his back. Grest let out a roar, and his body shook violently, but he did not fall down. Instead, he turned around and slapped Aaron, slapped her a few meters away, and hit the stone wall. "You should die." Grest roared, staring at me with his head, his eyes full of murder. "The deep and pure eyes are indeed on you. If you hand them over, I can make you die happily." I gritted my teeth, got up and held Aaron, and found that the corners of her mouth were bleeding, but she could still move. I asked in a low voice, "Are you still doing it? What's the matter?" "It's almost done, give me some time." She gasped, reluctantly stood up, and continued to crack the machine. And when I turned to grace it, the whispers in my brain suddenly became unusually clear, as if I gave me a choice: call, power, and defeat him. My heart was shocked, knowing that this was the deep eye that was tempting to confuse me of the power of using it, but I didn't have to choose. Grest approached step by step with his men, and his killing was so full that he couldn't be dissolved. I bit my teeth and said in a low voice, "Okay, just this time." I closed my right eye, looked directly at Grest with my left eye, and silently recited the strange verbals taught me in my brain. The next second, my left eye suddenly felt ache, and the black air in the video seemed to be alive, gathering from me into a twisted shadow, making a harsh scream, and sweeping towards Grest. "Shinching Shou?" Grest's face changed drastically, and he quickly lifted up his dagger to hit him, but the shadow was too fast and directly hit him, knocking him all over, and smashing him hard on the stone wall. His men were also scared to escape in scattered ways, and the scene was in chaos for a while. I gasped, feeling my brain as if it was hollowed out, and the pain in my left eye almost made me stand up. But the shadow did not stop. After solving Graysister, it slowly turned to me. Its empty eyes seemed to be able to see through my soul, and its whispers sounded in my brain: "More, call more." "Carl, stop." Erin's voice suddenly came. I suddenly came back to my senses and realized that she had opened the machine. The stone door slowly rose, revealing a passage leading to a deeper point. "Don't use that power anymore, it will swallow you. Go quickly." I bit my teeth tightly, forcing myself to cut off the connection with the shadow, and then helped Irene toward the stone door. The shadow screamed unwillingly, as if he wanted to catch up, but the stone door closed behind us, leaving it completely separate from Grest and the others. The passage was pitch black, the air was as cold as ice, and Irene's torch had long since fallen off, so we could only walk forward in the dark. The visual line in my left eye could barely see the way clearly, but the low words in my brain did not stop. It seemed that I had just stopped calling, and I was still trying to continue. "Carl, you just used the deep pure summons, right?" Erin's voice burst into the darkness, trembling with a silkworm. "Do you know how dangerous that is? If you continue to use it, you will become another Grest, or even worse." "I know, but I don't have to choose." I gasped, my voice filled with exhaustion. "Irene, we have to find your brother tightly and leave this haunted place. I feel I can't hold back." She was silent for a while, and then said in a low voice, "The deepest part of the trance is there. If my brother is still alive, he will definitely be there. But I have a bad feeling, Carl, you have to prepare for it." I clicked the head and didn't say anything anymore. The two continued to walk forward. The passage became narrower and narrower, and the fishy smell in the air was suffocating. A low sound came from a distance, like a heartbeat, or something huge was sleeping. In the video of my left eye, the darkness became increasingly heavy, almost covering everything. My heart was getting wet, knowing that what was waiting for us in front was definitely not a good thing. Finally, a huge underground cavity appeared in the passage, and a huge black vortex floated in the center, like light and sounds that could devour everything, and countless bones and broken offerings were scattered around it. Above the vortex, you can see a figure, surrounded by black air, as if trapped in the head. "Brother!" Erin suddenly shouted, her voice filled with excitement and pain. She used to want to get close to the vortex, but an invisible force pushed her open and threw her to the ground. I held her, looked straight at the whirlpool in my left eye, and countless runes and black air appeared in the video, like a seal of some taboo. The figure was indeed alive, but it was no longer entirely human. His body was invaded by black air and was beyond recognition, like a half-human and half-monster. "Irene, he's already..." I gritted my teeth and didn't say the second half, but she already understood, her eyes filled with hope and pain. "No. I must save him." She stood up and tried to get closer to the vortex again, but was pushed open and fell harder. At this moment, a low voice suddenly came from the vortex, as if it was rising from the depths of the ground, and directly replied in my brain, "Carl, the holder of the deep eye of the deep purge, you finally came. Let me become the master of the Lord." I was shocked in my heart, knowing that this was the ultimate existence of deep and lustful existence, the source of unknown terror. The lower words on the left eye became unusually excited, as if urging me to answer it, but I knew that once I answered, I would never go back. "Carl, don't listen to it." Aaron grabbed my hand, his voice filled with a plea. "You have another choice, don't let it control you. We can destroy this place together and end it all." I looked at her and then at the whirlpool, my heart tugging as if it was about to tear apart. Become the Lord of the Wild, possess unlimited power, or destroy all this and keep the last human nature. I bit my teeth and closed it. The pain in my left eye almost made me faint, but a blurry picture suddenly appeared in my brain. Macelyn Blackcurse's face, her once teaching and betrayal, in a sentence she said, "The deep and pure eye is a key and a lock. Do you choose to turn it on, or close it? Irene, help me." I gasped, my voice almost couldn't hear clearly. "I chose, destroy it. But I need your help, I can't do it alone." She sniffed her head, her eyes calmed down. "Tell me what to do." I closed my right eye and looked directly at the vortex with my left eye. I silently recited the taboo mantra taught by Macelyn, but this time it was not a call, but a seal. I felt the deep and purified eye of my left eye resisting, as if to tear my soul apart, but Aaron held my hand tightly, as if giving me the last bit of strength. "In the name of deep penis, seal, end." I growled, every word seemed to be pulled from my throat. The vortex began to shake violently, and the black air seemed to be crazy, but Irene used her guard to help me with it, giving me the last time. Finally, the vortex roared unwillingly and began to shrink, as if it was forced to a small point by some force, and then disappeared completely. The underground cavity began to collapse, and the stones and soil fell from above. Irene and I supported each other and stumbled towards the passage. The moment we ran out of the way, a glimmer of light suddenly appeared in the sky, as if darkness had finally passed. I sat on the ground, the pain in my left eye was still there, but the humor finally stopped, as if the deep eye had exhausted its strength. Erin sat next to me, looking away empty, as if she had not yet passed through the pain of losing her brother. "We succeeded." I gasped and smiled hard. "At least, this ghost place will not harm people anymore." Erin clicked the head, without saying a word, just murmured in a low voice, "But the price is too big." I didn't answer, just looked at the far away, and knew in my heart that all this was not finished. One of the deep impurity scattered may have been destroyed, but there are more such ghost places waiting for me on the dark and purity scattered land. Although the deep and purified eye of the left eye is calm, it is still inside me, like an uncertain blowout that may explode again at any time. The wind rose again, bringing a smell of fishy smell, as if reminding me that the darkness has never truly left. I clenched my fists, stood up, and prepared to welcome the next path, whether it was to rescue me or to a deeper purity.